Lesson 7.4 is diversity of Greek Jewry remaining in Greece in 1944 and later deportations. 7,000 Salonican Jews hid in Athens, 400 local Greek-speaking Jews hid, 400 Greek-speaking Athenian Jews reported every week to the German Gestapo at the synagogue, and on Pesach 1944 they were arrested. The Jews of Thessaly hid in the mountains. Some 3,000 Jews affiliated with the leftist partisan strongholds in Thessaly and Evia as fighters, supply staff, and were also protected in villages in the mountains. More than 800 Jews flee from Athens to Evia to Turkey on fishing boats and continued to Eretz Israel via Aleppo, Syria. So there are many different populations here and many different ways Jews survived. Jewish Eretz Israel British soldiers defeated in the Peloponnese and Crete, stranded in Greece, and provided shelter in monasteries. Archbishop Damaskinos provides Jews protection in monasteries. Fictitious arranged marriages with Christians were arranged in order to save Jews. Jews were also given false baptismal papers. 25 Jews escaped forced labor in Thebes. Most of the Jews, there were young Jews from Athens sent for labor, and then they were deported to Auschwitz. But there wasn't a lot of guarding of the camp, so if you were daring, you could escape. And then those who escaped later hid or joined the partisans. 17 Jews from Salonika hid on the island of Skopelos. Athenian Rabbi Barzillai fled to Karpenisi and calls for Greek Jewry to avoid arrest and deportation by hiding or joining the resistance. At the same time all this was happening, and it's all dangerous, and the Germans are everywhere and looking for Jews and hiding everywhere, a German Jew called the Tenor, because he had a high voice, sits inconspicuously in his apartment in Athens with a shortwave radio and coordinates illegal immigration to Eretz Israel. The Jews of Yanina were arrested, as well as the Jews of Athens, on Passover, March 24, 1944. Here's a picture of after they're paraded in the streets, they're taken by the lake, and they're waiting for trucks to take them to Larissa, and then they're going to be sent to Auschwitz. Deportation of the Jews of Corfu. At the dawn of World War II, the Jewish community of Corfu numbered 2,000, most of them young children and the elderly. On June 10, 1944, 4 days after the bombing of Normandy, with the end of the war in sight, the Jews of Corfu were rounded up to be deported off the island. First, they were imprisoned in the old Venetian fort in dark, cramped quarters. Then they were sent off the island in small boats. Their final destination was Auschwitz-Birkenau. Of the 1,795 Jews of Corfu who were deported, only 121 survived. There was also a scene where they were waiting outside the gas chamber to be gassed, and this character, a teenager then named Niso Matithias, started singing, and he was like entertaining the German guards. And in precarious Auschwitz, he said to the German soldier, "Go get me a violin." And they bring him a violin, and he starts playing and fiddling, and the Germans thought it was a concert. And then they didn't push the Jews into the gas chamber, these young men. They sent them to forced labor, and that's how this group survived. So the mayor, and I've talked about this before, the mayor of the island, after the war, issued a proclamation thanking the Germans for ridding the island of the Jews so that the economy of the island would revert to its rightful owners. The Jews of Rhodes and Kos were the last Jews deported in Greece. Here, this is a 1943 photo of a young Rhodian Jewish boy of the Angel family wearing the Star of David on the lapel of his coat. The Jews of Rhodes were not required to wear the star. For the photo, he's wearing the star as an innocent gesture of pride instead of its actual use as a symbol for persecution. Tragically, the boy was deported the following year to Auschwitz, where he was murdered along with 1,700 Jews of Rhodes. The photo is from Miru Al-Kana, who was a hero. She was deported to Auschwitz, and in the death march, she pushed through and helped and assisted a lot of Rhodian women survive. Miru was a very tough woman. I interviewed her for Spielberg. On July 18th, 1944, the male Jews of Rhodes, aged 16 and older, were ordered by the German military commanders to appear the following morning with their identity cards and work permits at the Air Force Command Center. The tactic of requiring the work permits tricked the Jews into thinking they were being summoned for a work camp. The next morning, after the men were assembled, they were brutally beaten, and threatened by the German soldiers, who proceeded to take away the identity cards and work permits and herded the Jews into the basement of the building. On July 19th, the remaining Jewish women and children were also ordered to appear the following day with their valuables under threat of death. They had no choice but to obey, and once entrapped, their belongings were stripped away. It was said that Kurt Waldheim, the head of the UN, who was in the Wehrmacht, an intelligence unit, had visited and demanded the Jews given gold, and that there was a picture of him arriving by plane and talking to Kleeman, the German commander. The Turkish young consul, who was 29, named Salahuddin Ülkemen, he rescued 45 people as Turkish consul. So as Turkish men weren't allowed to keep their citizenship, only the women. So only 15 actually were Turkish, but he also used his will and diplomatic status for the men to be also taken out of the camp, as well as the children. So that's how the number actually became 46 and not 15. On July 23rd, the 1,673 Jews were ordered to march to the port, where they were boarded onto 3 crowded boats. On that sad day, a centuries-old Jewish community had ceased to exist. On July 23rd, 1944, the Jews of Rhodes and the neighboring island of Kos were sent by boat to the Greek mainland. Crammed together in the hot summer sun, without food or water, 23 Jews died on the voyage to the mainland. I think that's a little high, but there were older Jews that died. Those who survived were incarcerated in the SS-operated transit camp Haidari in Piraeus, and then deported to Auschwitz-Birkenau. Only 151 Jews from Rhodes survived the Holocaust. Rhodian Jewish women in the beginning also suffered shock. They were overprotected teenage girls. Unfortunately, there were also beautiful girls from Rhodes who were forced into prostitution for the Nazis, and it's a sad story, and in total there weren't that many testimonies of Jews from Rhodes, because not that many survived, and they dispersed all throughout the world, so it wasn't easy to actually locate and identify them.